camera. Acceptable. Okay, hey Michael, this is why I had to go. I'm with Nate Wong, just introducing him to Periscope.
How are you doing?
Now, because I've invited a select few,
okay.
We're not going to get huge numbers. This is not an interview, it's just showing Nate Periscope, and some people wanted to say hello to Nate, that's all. And Nate said, yeah, and he's just curious about Periscope. That's it, basically. So it's like when you do a private scope, it's like a controlled environment.
Okay.
So normally when you make a scope, you can share it on Twitter, Facebook, and on Periscope. Okay? So the potential, if you have like 50 followers, but one of your followers shares, and your person who shared has like 50,000 followers, your audience just goes whoa.
Right. Cool.
Okay, it's just the nature of it.
Hi, people are talking to me.
So do you want to tell Nate where you're from? He's new, like I say, he's new to Periscope. Before you get serious, can you explain your humour, please? Satirical.
What kit is he wearing?
Ironic.
It's like a retro England kit.
You know what? I'm totally blind to football, I never noticed.
It's like an old school, yeah.
Is that deliberate?
It's not deliberate, it's just what I had available this morning.
Oh, okay.
Thank you.
Okay, so we're going to sort of like, if you want to ask Nate some questions, but well, before you do you want to explain who you are in like a nutshell?
Yeah, okay. Well, I'm a drummer here in Hong Kong. I grew up here, but I went to the States for middle school and high school, and I started playing drums there. And then I went to the Berklee College of Music. I did all 4 years there. And then after that, I did a bunch of moving around. I got a job at a Berklee sister school in Ecuador, so I taught there for a year. And then I got this steady gig playing in one of those like mega churches in Arkansas.
What's a mega church?
It's like a church that has over 10,000 people. I think that's how they define it.
Those big ones that they have in Korea, South Korea.
Yeah, it's like So I worked there playing in the band there for a really long, for like 2 years, and it was a cool gig, but it got a little boring after a while, and I always knew that coming back to Hong Kong was an option because I always knew a lot of musicians and stuff. So about 2 years ago, I came back to Hong Kong, and since then, I guess my main gig is playing. It is really sweet. My main gig is playing canto pop. I think my main money-making thing. And then I also am in an indie band called Nowhere Boys, and I play jazz music like all the time too.
If they want to prep, because these people are really engaged with what I do. If they want to prep, what can they search you for on YouTube?
If you want to search jazz stuff, you should search Nate with the Wong way down. It's like wrong way down, except you replace wrong with my last name, Wong.
Okay.
And that's my jazz thing. And then for pop, like if you want to see me play those big arena concerts, you can search maybe Sammy Chang, and then anything in the last year will probably have me on the drums. And just Nate Wong drums will come up with a bunch of my stuff. Nowhere Boys HK will come up with my indie band. What got me into music?
You don't have to do anything.
I don't know, I started playing when I was really young. I played piano. Like, most kids in Hong Kong, like, play piano starting at, like, 5.
Yes.
And you just start doing the grades and stuff, and I did that for a while, but then eventually, like, I had the option to switch to, like, clarinet or flute, so I picked flute. And I did that for a while, too. And it wasn't until I got to the States when I was, like, 11 that I started playing drums, and then I just kept playing drums.
Michael asked before any of the genres, but I don't think you play any of the genres, do you, other than jazz?
No, I play a lot of other. I play pop. I mean, the canto pop stuff is like mainstream pop, like really pop stuff.
I never listened to it though.
Yeah, that's okay. And then also the Nowhere Boys is this kind of rock band but I did a lot of the writing and arranging for it too, and it's kind of like cinematic rock, we call it, or people call it, and it's like a lot of our songs are based on movies, or like the way we arrange it. It sounds like kind of like a movie soundtrack kind of thing.
If I type cinematic rock into YouTube, will I get anything?
You should search Nowhere Boys.
Just Nowhere Boys.
Or if you don't see it, you can search Nowhere Boys HK. But there's evidently a popular Australian TV show called Nowhere Boys too.
Oh, okay.
So there's Nowhere Boys. There's like a lot of it's like kind of rock. It has like a lot of different genres mixed in, and it's kind of cinematic. What's the music industry like in Hong Kong? It's actually awesome, I think. I really feel positively about the scene here.
Why?
Because it's actually, compared to the U.S., it's a relatively easier place to make a living.
Really?
Yeah.
I would have found that the opposite is true.
Actually, it's not.
That's good then.
There's a few cities in the U.S. that have music scenes, just like New York and L.A. Other than that, there's not really cities that have proper mainstream music scenes. Hong Kong, even though it's a small country, it has like a mainstream pop scene that generates a really big audience and real money. So when I play with Sammy, I mean, we're playing arenas all over Asia and in Hong Kong, and it's a huge gig, and it's the kind of opportunity I would never have really had in the U.S.
Is the music scene in Hong Kong really small? I'm having trouble
I'd
imagining
say
where all
it's
these
a little
venues.
bit medium sized. Well, I'm talking for the pop stuff I'm talking right now. It's like all over Asia and in Hong Kong. Now for the jazz stuff, it's probably really hard to just make like enough money playing just jazz in bars. But I think a lot of the strictly jazz musicians in Hong Kong, they're making fun of you.
You should get a Periscope.
I should. I really should. I think a lot of the full-time jazz musicians in Hong Kong play functions, which there are a lot of in Hong Kong, because it's like kind of a rich place with like a lot of corporations and stuff like that. So there's a lot of function gigs to be had. Luckily, because of the Canto Pop stuff, I don't really do that many function gigs. I just go between Canto Pop and playing club jazz gigs, which I also love. Like, there's really good audiences here. They're super enthusiastic. It's really easy to get people to come out to gigs. It's actually, in my experience, easier to get people to come out to gigs in Hong Kong than in the States, especially people you don't know, because it's a little bit more connected internet-wise. Like, you can get the word out. It's so dense, and there's just so many people. Like, it's easy to fill up a club. So
stop asking him questions.
As far as the audiences go, it's great. It's hard to make money playing jazz like in clubs, but it's hard to make money doing that anywhere. But there is a big function music scene, and the pop thing is like just extremely unique. That a place like this has a mainstream pop scene that you can like make a lot of money in and also play really big venues. And these are opportunities you don't really have in the U.S. It's a mix. I'd say that most of the jazz people are foreigners, but most of the fans of Nowhere Boys are half and half, because it's English and Cantonese. And then the Sammy stuff, the pop stuff, is like strictly local.
Is there a singer in your group?
Yeah.
Okay. Is that person English speaking or Cantonese
speaking? He's both. He studied in England, so we sing songs in English and Chinese.
Cool.
He asked if I enjoy playing in Hong Kong or US better. Honestly, the level in US, like the level of playing when I was at Berkeley, in general, it's not strictly this way, but in general, it's higher over there. I mean, especially, I was playing with some really high level people. I mean, just based on luck. So I really loved that. But I mean, if you compare my gig in the U.S. in Arkansas playing in that church to what I'm doing now, then I prefer what I'm doing now, which is playing in like pop arena shows and jazz club gigs. Do you do anything else for a living other than jazz? Well, actually, what I was saying is that I actually don't really make that much of my living playing jazz. I make most of my living playing pop, but I play jazz all the time, and there's money to be made there too. But I mean, my main money-making gig is the pop stuff.
Is your preference jazz?
I actually wouldn't even say that. Because, you know, like, I really love playing jazz. No, see, it's hard to say. It's not that jazz is a hobby. It's because there's just not as much money in it. So like, so I wouldn't tell people I make a living playing jazz. And also the guys that make a living like strictly playing jazz, they do a ton of functions. And I'm not as into that. I really want to play mostly in like jazz clubs and stuff.
I'll take this question.
Yeah.
You drink your drink. I met Nate just like 25 minutes ago through like my producer who helps me with my channel. So Michael's new.
Okay.
So he doesn't know like my weekly.
Okay.
He hasn't gone through a whole month of me yet.
Cool.
So sometimes now and again, I'm trying to go for like once a week, but I'm gonna like sit down with someone and just chat with them on Periscope with regards to Hong Kong. But someone helps me find people in Hong Kong, and that person got in contact with Nate. Hi, Stephen. Stephen's just joined the chat. We've got 3 people here. Can you let Nate where you're from?
Your friends are mean.
These are people who are like this is just like say a private scope. When we get to a public scope, it's going to be crazy.
Chaos, right? Yeah.
But what's different is like this is a chance for them to speak to you right now.
Okay.
When we do it properly, we're going to use the other camera, better quality, and we won't see them.
Okay.
It'll just be us two and my Twitter feed.
I see. Okay, I got it.
So this is a chance to get to know them.
Okay.
More than
Okay, cool. Yeah, but like you were saying about the preference, it's just such a different experience. Like from the Canto pop stuff, what I really like get from that is like, first of all, it's really serious. Like you can't make any mistakes really, and
how's that?
because just the way that session music is, just the way session music is. It's like when you're a session musician, you're expected not to really make any mistakes ever, and it's such a big show that there really can't be any mistakes made, and it's really large scale. I mean, the crew is like there might be hundreds of people working on the show. I mean, you're just a small part of the show, but at the same time, it's really important. It's a really big show, so I get like it's a really different kind of satisfaction I get out of it. You know, it's serious. You can't make any mistakes. There's people, you know, you have bosses and stuff that make sure, you know, music directors and stuff that make sure you're playing well. And it's just such a huge audience, you know, it's a different kind of thrill. Jazz, I love jazz because, you know, I get to play the music that I write or, you know, other stuff. I get to, like, improvise, which I love to do. And I kind of grew up playing jazz, so I really love that. But it's just totally different.
So you're the drummer
really
who writes?
Yeah, I write.
Okay, you're like the Ringo who never was. Ringo didn't really.
I guess so. Yeah, I write a lot of jazz. The music I write is like jazz music, and it's kind of like a modernized version of like bebop music.
But do you give are you writing lyrics?
No.
You don't write lyrics?
It's
okay.
instrumental.
It's just instrumental.
Yeah.
Right? I thought you were passing on the lyrics to the singer.
Yeah, that's the different band. The Nowhere Boys band, I still don't really write lyrics in that band. The
Okay.
singer does mostly. But I do a pretty big part in arranging and kind of making the songs.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. But I guess with the jazz performances though, you can do a bit of freestyle because it's jazz, right?
Yeah. So how it works usually is that there's like we write songs and then there's a set of chords on those songs, maybe like 12 bars, 16 bars, it doesn't matter. But those 12 bars, the chords, they just repeat over and over again. And then you improvise music on top of those chords. So the chords never change, the chord structure never changed, but what you play on the chords change every time. I kind of sound like a dying seal. Yeah. I prefer.
Random question. Cheap VR.
My favorite jazz composer. There's a lot. Probably Thelonious Monk. I really like Cole Porter.
See, I've heard of these names, but my jazz collection begins and ends with Miles Davis.
Okay, cool. I like Miles Davis too a lot. Yeah. So, yeah. I mean, that kind of jazz from that era, like Miles, and then the people that played with Miles, like John Coltrane, Wynton Kelly, like Sonny Rollins. That's the era of jazz that I'm really into, and then the music that I write is kind of like a modernized version of that.
I looked on SoundCloud for you. Are you on SoundCloud? Because I found that Nate Wong too.
Yeah, maybe, but I haven't updated that.
Okay.
The best bet is NateWongMusic.com.
Nate Wong, okay.
And I try to keep it updated. It's usually updated to the month. Does what language matter to you? Do you prefer on? No, it doesn't really matter to me. The thing that makes Cantonese music really tough, actually, to write and sing is that the way the language is structured is, it's really hard to just fit words into any melody, because the language, like, the meaning of words change if you put it with different melodies. So, that's, like, one of the challenges with, like, writing Cantonese music is to, like, come up with new sounding melodies, but have your lyrics fit it. Like English, you can kind of bend words around to make it fit, and actually Mandarin you can too. That's why there's more and more Mandarin music now and less Cantonese music, because it's really hard to write in Cantonese because of the way the language is structured. So, but as far as do I prefer one or the other, not really. I'm pretty fluent in Cantonese. I think.
What about Mandarin?
I'm not fluent in Mandarin. I don't really know Mandarin at all.
Okay.
Cantonese, if you're local, you can tell that I didn't grow up here. I think I have like an accent.
Definitely have an accent.
But yeah, I'm pretty fluent. I have a lot of Cantonese friends, and I talk with them.
So you're native in, you obviously have a native English accent.
Yeah.
So you're native in both. You're blessed with both.
Yeah, kind of.
Okay.
I'm not as native in Cantonese, but I can.
Okay.
Yeah, but I can get through native. I mean, I can.
Okay.
I mean, I can like social in Cantonese, but I'm not like super fluent. Like for example, like if when things get a little deeper, like politics and stuff, I'll start getting to the end of my Cantonese range.
Okay. Is politics something that you're interested in? So would you want to discuss that in the next meeting?
No, I'm just saying as an example of like where my Cantonese runs at.
But I'm just wondering the boundaries of our discussion topics. Would you want to talk about politics?
No, I would quickly run out of things to. My knowledge base would.
I'll keep it off the table because I do try to insert politics into my channel.
Okay, yeah, I would quickly start just pulling stuff out of my ass that I didn't really know about, so I'd prefer not.
Communism, yay or nay? We can be that superficial if you want. Right,
yeah, I can go that far, but if we get any deeper in there, I get confused.
Okay, fair enough. Right, these questions are really good. I think now Periscope is going through some teething problems at the moment, some growing pains.
Okay.
Just like Twitter did. You on Twitter?
Yep. I'm on Twitter, but not super active. But
okay. Is it more Facebook?
Yeah.
Okay, that's typical Cantonese people.
Yeah, and Facebook is better for getting the word out on my gigs. I think that's why I use Facebook a lot.
Right, okay. Periscope is linked to Twitter.
Okay.
By the way, lots of communists.
It's
red. Communist shirt. Yeah. It's a running joke on my channel. Anyone wearing red is a communist.
Okay.
You never know.
But it says England on it. So.
It'd be ironic. Hi, Christopher. And so Periscope's going through some growing problems, whereby the notifications, this little number here, is not being sent out. So we should get 40 people in here,
okay.
Or at least probably 12. So not everyone's getting it. And you remember that list view I showed you right at the beginning? It's sitting there on everyone's phone. So that's the only way at the moment now that they can discover this little private scope, unless they actually just get the notification, check their phone, right? Something's going on at the moment, but hopefully all of these issues are rectified once we go back. His open scope, 60 to 200 people. Do you like cauliflower?
I do like cauliflower.
We have cauliflower. I scope over on Market Street every day, so we get to anthropomorphize this female cauliflower lady. She's a vegetable market seller, but we always count our cauliflowers every morning.
Really?
She has this really OCD approach to displaying her cauliflowers because she doesn't wrap them up in like protective plastic like the others who just put it in a pile. So she lays them all out and they're like an inch between them all.
Really?
Yeah. So we talk about cauliflower lady like every morning when I have a coffee.
Wow, that's
my
awesome.
opening scope for the day.
Wow, I gotta get on for this cauliflower. I do like cauliflower, yeah.
There we go. We should bring one for the next scope.
We should. How do you eat it?
Give us some tips.
Yeah, how do you cook your cauliflower?
So on my channel, like I said, I'll start the day with a coffee, hang out my window, and just chat about Hong Kong in a general sense, and pick up new viewers.
Okay.
Because it's a good introduction to my channel.
Right.
And then what I tend to do sometimes are walking tours, food scopes, busking scopes. If I see a busker, I'll give them some attention.
Okay, cool.
And what I actually have is these people who are in this private chat actually donate money to me.
Uh-huh.
Some of them will then, through me, give the money to the busker.
Oh,
as well.
cool.
Okay, because ironically,
awesome.
The people who are just passing by are not really giving, but those who are if I sit down and point the camera, the interpretation of interacting with that music is so much different. You can sit down and then you're like, yeah, I can appreciate this. I'm not trying to get to A to B.
Right.
And so that person seems to be getting more attention from people behind a camera.
Right. Wow, that's really
and
cool.
Then people say, you should donate, give us money. So there's a weird psychology going on. So I try to promote, but someone asked earlier, do you busk? And did you busk?
Yeah, I bust in the past for sure. I guess I haven't busked recently, just not because I don't like it, just because I haven't done it.
Time.
I should.
Oh.
I should. It'd be fun. Yeah, I'll busk more after this conversation.
Where would you busk?
Actually, the last time I bust outside that. What's that thing called? MGM, or at the bottom of Langquai.
Okay.
At the bottom of Langquai, like where the statue is right now.
Yeah, that weird naked.
Yeah, the naked guy. Like,
yeah, that's a good busking spot.
Yeah, I was there sometimes at the harbor, Timsatcher Harbor front. Yeah, that's mostly the spots. And then, I mean, when I was in Berkeley, we busted Boston all the time, like Boston Commons and stuff. Yeah, but now, I haven't done it for a while. I really should. Good idea. It's fun to busk.
Okay, what's your day job?
I don't have one.
It's all music.
Yeah.
So you're totally sustainable. You're just sustainable in your music career.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's just all gigs, paid gigs.
Yeah. I mean, the Canto Pop stuff is real money. It's really like a proper job. That's why I call it my real job, because I end up, when I get called for that, it's like for real. I have to turn down like other gigs. I have to turn down jazz gigs and stuff, because that music director really is kind of a boss of mine. And if he has gigs for me, I definitely take them, and then we do those gigs.
Okay.
Yeah. That's why I call it my actual job, I guess.
Nice.
The jazz stuff is not a hobby because I like take it seriously or whatnot, but as far as making money, it's definitely not my primary thing.
So you're not a struggling artist. Like in the West at the moment, there's this dialogue, discussion we're having about struggling artists and getting music out there or not being paid by Spotify and all that stuff. Are you sort of like, is that an issue for you? Do you want to talk about that?
The thing is,
Ben asked that question again. Sorry.
The thing is, I wouldn't consider myself a struggling artist because of what I've figured out how to do in Hong Kong.
But there is a mainstream perception from what I'm reading with the news anyway. It seems like there is
in Hong Kong or just everywhere.
Just generally in the West.
In the West, it's very hard. It's super hard. Yeah, and I have tons of friends that were like better than me at Berkeley, or were like kind of stars at Berkeley that went on to try to make a career in New York or something like that, and just like aren't really getting gigs or have day jobs and stuff. And they're excellent musicians. It has nothing to do with their ability to play. It's just really super hard to make it happen over there right now. So I mean, it's just different. I've figured out a way to like make a career for myself here in Hong Kong, and make the finances of it work. But yeah, it's definitely hard in the U.S. I mean, it's not super easy here. I mean, I have friends that struggle here and stuff, but I've been lucky enough to like get a good balance of like mainstream pop music and my own jazz stuff, and just having it all.
So when Ben asked what made you well, these have to be the last two questions because I've got to go as well, and I only wanted like an hour's okay.
That's right.
What made you get into it, and what would you do if you didn't do music?
What made me get into it? It was just, I mean, it's always been the plan, like from since I was really young. So I just started pursuing it, and yeah, and what would I do otherwise? Man, I don't really know.
I guess you don't think about it if you're.
I don't really think about it. I probably would try to do something hands-on. You know, I like to do hands-on stuff, like whatever that is. I don't know. I for some reason, like, thing that comes to mind, like, I would rather like drive a car, like drive a taxi, than like honestly than like work, you know, like in an office or something. I like to just like be doing stuff. I don't know. I've never really thought about it, honestly. I mean, I've always like if you want to get a little deeper into like why I'm here and stuff. Like I thought about going to New York with my friends and stuff, and you know, trying to make it, because the level there's the highest. It's the highest, and we all want to play in the highest level scene and be the highest level musicians we can. I did too. So I went back and forth between like going there or coming here, where the scene, on average, I mean, there's very high level players in Hong Kong too, but on average the level's not as high here. But I mean, I just really wanted to play for a living and not have to have a day job, and so I took this route. Now I'm here in Hong Kong. I've made kind of a career for myself, but what I try to accomplish day to day is just to keep getting better as a musician and not being like, okay, I'm working now, so I'm like, it's cool. Like I never think that way. I always think like, I'm just lucky to be working, and I need to keep getting better so that, you know, I can keep pace with like my friends in New York, who ironically some of them aren't working, but they're getting better all the time because the scene is such a high level. And maybe one day I'll go back there. We'll see. We'll see how things turn out.
Okay. On that note, I'm going to end this scope. So this is just like a little taste. You've managed to get some questions in that you might not be able to get on the day, because I'm gonna speak with Nate, and we're going to talk about.
Thanks so much.
Doing a longer, you know, some of you know what my interviews are like. We'll use the Twitter and everything, but Nate is probably going to. I've asked Nate, and he said yes, and we'll probably do some live music as well in between the actual discussion topics that I'm setting up. Okay.
Thanks for listening to me talk.
Okay. What do you think of this then?
I think it's amazing. Yeah, it's really cool. Well, I mean, I'm kind of blown away actually.
Can you tell Nate where you're from?
Yeah, that's what I'm wondering. Are you guys in Hong Kong?
So Steve doesn't have to. I know he's from Florida.
Okay, Florida.
Okay,
Okay, cool.
Ben doesn't go to bed. It's like, what is it? 6 a.m. there, Florida. Okay, two
cool.
Floridians, UK, and Michael is from
2 a.m. That's not too late. I sleep at like very late too. I sleep at like 4 or 5 usually. So.
Okay,
6 a.m. So are you up from last night, or are you just? Because if I'm up at 6, it's probably from last night. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Right, Calgary was the last one.
Calgary. Okay, cool. Yeah. I don't sleep.
You don't sleep?
Me neither.
Okay. Right, I need to speak to Nate, but hope you enjoy this little taste, and I'll see you in a bit.
Thanks. See you next time. Hope to do some playing next time too.
Okay.
Bye.
Bye-bye. And you just swipe down.
Okay.